really easy CC to be able to land some of these things. Zeus is obviously very good with Mbessa, and you can like hide in Fog of War sometimes, or get good angles sometimes, or even sometimes just use slows maybe to be able to set it up and guaranteed hit those, but not the easiest.
Yeah, and it will be the Victor locked in, so no Akali here for Knight, going for a little bit more.
See how aggressive these two junglers do want to be. Kanavi was such a big part of that 5-game series win over Lion. I felt like he was stellar across a lot of different games. When this guy gets ahead, he is such a problem.
Is Bin too far up? Will he have to flash? That is going to be the question here as the Warthog comes on over. The Tempest Cripple will come down here from Kanavi. As the flash forward from Zeus, they want this first blood. It is the Ravenous. Oh, the Ruthless Predator comes through, and that is going to be first blood over to...
It's also kind of interesting, you know, talking about Viper, you know, in his road a little bit. Oh, Kanavi maybe going to look here.
Yeah, Bin is going to look to get himself out of the way. Public Execution is going to pick up the Crocodile. Dominus is running, but there is the kick back. The flash out, though. Zeus follows him up, and Kanavi gets another. These more damage-focused junglers can make things difficult, but he is up towards his top side of the map, and he's got friends, as you say, Kobe. Let's see whether Zeus can survive this one. Doesn't have the Public Execution, but he doesn't want this to be public.
Will be available this game, and they would love to continue stacking.
Oh, Kanavi has found his old friend here as Knight blast cones his way up. There's the resonating strike to follow from the Lee Sin. Kicks him into the wall, and he'll just find the kill.
To get his energy back, takes it over the wall after the blast cone.
Gumayushi gonna have to get out of the way of Shun here. We'll see whether that flash is going to be enough here as they turn it. He's on a trap, and Shun is able to flip his way up, but Kanavi is going to get there, and it's actually Zeka that locks up the kill. Turret goes down in the bottom lane, but HLE are off to the races in mid.
They absolutely are, and they're gonna go for the Herald Q as well, with already so much damage dealt to these towers from this Caitlyn, but they don't want to give this up. They're actually TPing back in. They do have double TP available. Bin not coming just yet. Knight is there, though.
Yeah, Kanavi going to see whether he can get this smite down. Is going to be able to land it there as the gravity well has been able to hold him in somewhat position. Safeguard gets him over the wall. Tempered Fate holds him in place, but he's got the ball. It's actually going to be the death ray that does.
From the kill call out.
Oh, Kanavi is a little bit upset about that last death, and he is just going to make use of this Infernal Soul as Zeus goes in with the Public Execution. Been taking a fair bit of damage here, but doesn't look too perturbed.
Zeka's rotating over as well as the bottom lane, so Bin's gonna have some visitors soon.
Yeah, the orb is now on him. Shockwave picks up the Crocodile. He doesn't really know who he wants to fight, and the answer is there's no good choice.
No, we saw On and how he was able to get out on the map. This time it was hard because Guma and Delight were perma pushing on bot side. It allowed them to stack dragons, put that pressure on.
Oh, Zeka finds the Shockwave, tries the dash cannon out of the Tempered Fate, but he is held into position. Cosmic Binding doesn't quite do it, but there's the Arcane Storm, and the shutdown goes over to Viper yet again. Okay, well, can BLG actually find something out of this? As Shun looking for an angle here, doesn't get the Darkened Daggers in. As Zeus trying to soften them up as they go for the dive. The Arcane Storm goes down yet again. Public Execution comes in, and Shun in maybe a little bit of trouble, but they haven't been able to lock down the kills just yet. True Shot Barrage comes in, and Viper locks down two. Knight grabbing kill credit as Zeka will finally come back from the Death Chamber and grabs the shutdown onto Bin. Control Vision does go over. Zeus does find Shun one more time. He's got the defense of his bottom lane alongside him. We're still waiting for Knight to make his way over, and HLE have started off this Drake. Zeus now slips off into the Fog of War, and there is the trap line. Bin gonna have to try and break it open, but he's taking so much damage. It's gonna be Viper that takes it! He's taken everything so far this game as Bin goes in, looks for the angle. Zeus does the same thing though, Public Execution, and they take down Viper! Their former AD carry now lying on the floor, Shun going untargetable, and they do get rid of Zeus. Now Kanavi gets the kickback onto Shun, and now he is in amongst it, and HLE wipe them off the rift. It's a triple for Guma. Bit of a flank angle here potentially for Bin as the net gets Gumayushi out of the Tempered Fate. See where this Crocodile is lurking though, that's the question. Is Public Execution gets Zeus into the backline again. Bin might be too late this time, but Viper does create some distance and takes down Zeus. Gumayushi pushed out of the fight though as Bin is massive looking for the angle, but Kanavi's another carry and he's just wiping them out where they stand. Bin flashes in, he'll find the cold light.
Teleport for the shield.
Yeah, Bin looking to make his way in level 19 on the Crocodile. Zeus could be in so much trouble. The ulti comes down, he flashes, but it's Shun that locks it up. And now the Tempered Fate going to be avoided here, but the net's now on cooldown. Gumayushi in so much trouble. Bin gets on top of him. Zeka's taken out as well, as they do kill On, but they don't really care about it. Now Gumayushi, he's going to have to be the one to make this one work. Gets the flash to get out, and he's taken down. Delight is now trying to keep them at bay, but he is just a support.
This dragon means soul for either side, but
oh, the shockwave doesn't actually connect, but there's a kick flash into the public execution. Viper should be taken out. It takes a little bit of time. Kanavi's traded, but he's just holding them in position. As Knight flashes over the wall, Bin just wasn't there. He finally shows up.
Is still alive here, and they're going to try to fight this.
A little bit early into the pit here. Shun is not alive anymore. Bin is now going to get himself in there. Slicing and dicing. Gumayusi trying to get these autos down, and there's the GA procced from the Renekton. Zeus and Zeka still with a lot of damage available, and Bin not with a whole lot when he makes his way back. Gets the stun, but then gets taken down by this Orianna. On basically takes his whole health bar in damage. As HLE just fishing for angles, and yeah, they're looking to take another inhibitor. Remember, there is only a naked inhibitor in the mid lane. They could take all three while HLE also takes the Baron.
BLG are sending 3 for Zeus. They're going to lose the Baron. They have to get this kill.
Well, can they actually do it as the public execution gets Zeus in there? He is likely to fall down, but they take the Baron. Has now been on that flank angle once again. Guma playing so far up as Bin gets in there. Guma gets a huge shield. The flash is flashed by Gumayusi. Now Shun's in trouble, and maybe that man advantage doesn't mean too much at all. As Guma is just finding headshot after headshot. Knight now getting involved as they get him down to the GA. Kanavi's still at full health, wants to take down this Ezreal. The net to get Guma out there, but he's popped like a balloon. Kanavi trying to bounce around the fight, needs another cooldown as Viper tries to find the Q and doesn't quite get there. Zeka puts him down, and now Knight is running away from the battlefield because Zeus has teleported in, and he will not connect that public execution, but Knight is not there to defend the base. The Nexus is exposed, and HLE will not let the past repeat itself. They take down BLG in game 1.
Because we were trying to predict these picks coming through based off of the previous series, and we're like, this is a Ziggs angle, or this is a Mel angle, and they kept going back. So like the early Ezreal pick was potentially a denial from Guma trying to neutralize mage bots, but no mage bots, scaling mid lanes, meta top lane picks. It was a very 2 months ago draft.
Laners are already banned out. You don't really have as many good options up there for Bin, so this is going to be Lucian, Shen, and Yorick as the answer. Fantastic into that rumble. Allows you to play towards side lanes where you have great ability to roam as the light, as Zeka and Kanavi to move around the map and try to play through those sides. The winner on the fight, so BLG will be looking for that.
Hearing the fans, there is not an empty seat here in the Daejeon Convention Center.
Going to disrupt the top matchup.
Yeah, Bin was taking a fair bit of damage, but Zeus now gets the bad news that there is a Jarvan up here. The flash to try and get him out, but he still gets tagged by the knock-up. He's going to need a big old army of ghouls to make this happen, and he finds it! First blood goes to Zeus! Shun will be able to get the revenge!
These 3 players are that one.
Oh, flash it from Zeka, gets the charm, and they execute Knight.
Jungle on the way to the Scuttle Crab.
Remember when I used to do this when we were hanging out? Yeah, it's fine. Well, there's a taunt flash from On. They do manage to get the knock-up on Kanavi. On doesn't quite know, does now find out that Delight is in the area. Kanavi spotted moving towards that top side. There's the flag and drag and the taunt as Delight keeps himself alive for now. Hookshot comes out. Delight doesn't quite find the angle. As now On just looking for his target. The Morning Mist will connect once again as Bin has eyes only for Zeus. He's looking to lock him down. He silences himself. The drill goes in and they lock up the kill. Kanavi's dead at the same time. But now it's Delight and Zeka trying to get this fight to work. As Delight has to flash. Oh. On, speaking of which, is just going to be backing away. Hextech sweep just to try and soften him up there as men. Speaking of armies, there are a lot of things here in this top lane, and Zeka is going to show off as well. They're looking for the rumble, and they will be able to grab the kill. Zeus walks it off at the same time, but the rest of BLG looking to turn up.
The minions of your opponents hit level 6. You start getting big comeback experience since you're the lowest level and so far behind.
Well, now looking for some angles here as the Supreme Display of Talent finds nothing at all. On is going to get that follow-up as Knight, petrifying gaze! But it's not quite doing enough here as Zeka just gets himself out with that Spirit Rush. Shun getting a nice knock up there as Zeus running out of buttons and Bin turns up! That Flame Spitter is hitting everything, but he goes down! Knight finds a Twin Fang to answer it, but it's rumble for Camille so far.
They have basically the same XP and the same gold, so Bin in trouble again.
Yeah. put into that goalie wall as the equalizer goes down, and Kanavi does not care. Zeus tanks up the turret just enough once again as Shun looks to get in there. The Cataclysm goes down and does shut down Zeus once again.
Viper's like, fine, I will just go push bottom lane down here and over the wall.
Petrifying Gaze is going to connect onto the Camille. The charm lands onto Onno. He'll be going down first as now Shun's in trouble. Kanavi trying to find that stun but doesn't quite get there.
Effective item, but against these kind of teams, I always really think you should be going lock it.
Oh, Kanavi gonna have to flash to get out of the way of Bin, and Shun does quite find the stun, but it's not quite going to work as they're standing.
Shun, gotta be a bit careful.
Yeah, there's the flash in, and Shun's put inside the Hextech Ultimatum. Supreme Display of Talent comes down there as well, but Gumiushi, the first one to die. On might be picked up as well, but even his able to get so far away from this fight. Knight gets in there, and now the grounding's on Kanavi. He tries to escape, bounces over the wall, but it does not matter. HLE running for the hills as Zeus trying to turn it towards Viper here. The dash over the wall, he's into the goalie wall as well as Shelly gets involved, but Viper will survive this one, and now Knight making his way over, and a teleport out from this Lucian to make sure that he's all right. Zeus lasting a long time, but I believe he's dead as well. As Viper
committed in, but Viper had such a good angle, still leading Guma, but Guma's back.
Okay, just blows him up. Petrifying Gaze is going to connect, gets a stun onto Delight as now the poison's ticking down. Getting some work done here in this mid lane. And the poke damage onto Shun is starting to add up. It's going to be the Dragon secured by BLG, but they cannot keep Shun alive, and now the rest of BLG are running for the hills. Zeus just flashes on top of Knight, puts him into the goalie wall, and the Noxious Blasts are coming down, but Zeus looks to be ignoring it completely. The taunt does come down as finally some damage is coming in. Finn gets in there with the flash, but the Q comes down from Zeus to keep him alive. They take out this Rumble yet again as Kanavi overextends a little, and now on taking a fair bit of damage, the bouncing bombs, and now the ghouls to chase him down.
Yeah, all the lethality.
Oh dear, the charming Zeka is going to land onto Knight here. He does find the Petrifying Gaze though, as Kanavi is taken out once again, and both of them just fall down on. As the rest of HLE not starting the fight just yet, the poke damage needs to rein in first before they do commit to anything. As Viper in the back of the pit, not exactly where he wants to be. As the Supreme Display of Talent goes over, Zeka finds the charm onto Viper and will be able to take him down. But now the Soul still on the table. Mega Inferno Bomb comes in, and it is going to be Kanavi falling down. The Soul is picked up as on. Let's see whether he can find it. The taunt connects onto Zeka, but he will go down. Gumiushi still at full health here as Knight is trying to get out of there. Shun as well, down very, very low, finds a knock-up onto the Camille, but he does go into the sky, finds his way out, utilizing the ultimate. Bin is going to die, though, as Gumiushi just needs another short fuse, but the flash gets out.
Okavi was trying to get in there, but Shun is back, and he's going for Zeus.
All right, yeah, they definitely need more than two people. The teleport is going to bring Gumiushi over here at the same time as these ghouls onto Shun, almost taking him down. Now Knight in that goalie wall, but goes golden, utilizing that arm guard that he did have. Another mine. The Maiden getting involved as well as Bin gets into the fog of war. You've got Viper. Oh, Zeka finds an angle here towards his top side of Shun, waiting in that brush. And Delight wanting to get on top of him. Shun down to 50%, looking to try and turn it. As Gumiushi's in trouble, Supreme Display of Talent. He at least gets the ulti off, but he's going to go down. Viper finds the angle onto his former support, and Zeus trying to deal with 4 people here in this top lane as On is marking the rest of the targets. It's a double for Viper.
Close the gap.
Oh dear, he's grounded. He is very, very dead. Knight is just fine though as Viper looking for a flank. No charm comes in. He knows that that's his angle, his opportunity to get on forward. The Cataclysm goes down. The Dragon's Wrath will be wrought all over HLE. His Maiden is going to be taken down here as well as BLG with this army of siege minions from this bottom lane. They are playing it pretty slowly here as Knight looking for some of these Noxious Blasts as the equalizer will finally be thrown down. There's Zeus being eaten by a dragon. Kanavi with the world's smallest Supreme Display of Talent, and Bin is just going to burn him to the ground. Delight taken out, and Zeka the last man standing, but not standing for long as Gumiushi gets back up again just to watch his Nexus be destroyed. And the series has evened out, and it's a best of 3 from here.
Viper's champion pool, because it's what set Knight up. He got double mid lane bans because they weren't anticipating the Cassio to be flexed back into the mid lane. That is the value of that additional champion pit. Really setting you up for success, and with the Lucian also doing well.
Biding out time here, waiting to see what Zeus is going to play, and that Olaf comes back once again and will be locked in. All right, what does Bin have for us as an answer to the Viking?
I feel like you just pop with the Counter-Strike and you're able to absorb so much of that, right? You just leave the Counter-Strike running full.
Also, I think the Jax is better versus
Very
the
difficult
Zin.
to deal with, and Bin is even going Ignite, so this is going to be a spicy top lane. And Zeus is not playing Flash, so it's actually Bin with the double combat summoner advantage. It is just Ghost TP here from Zeus, so a much more conservative approach.
If your opponents try and close some traps on you, and On is kind of watching at the moment, and maybe one of those traps is about to be sprung.
Shun making his way in. The Dustbringer is going to connect as Kanavi doesn't have Flash, remember, from the earlier play. And he'll be taken down. The Umbral Glaives will take
now,
him.
you talk about Shun being ahead. Nocturne a full level ahead, and Nocturne's topside.
Oh dear, Zeus in a lot of trouble, gets stunned up by the Counter-Strike. And in goes the Nocturne, getting very scared.
But they didn't even need the Ignite to kill Zeus, and Zeus realizes
Return
he can't break
gank.
the Fear Tether.
Camp him, camp him.
Well, that's exactly what they're doing. Has been just gets back to work once again. And Zeus not going to be able to get out of this one. The Ignite ticking down, the Fear tethers once more. And the Alcove will not save you, Zeus. He very handy as Shun and On making their way in to try and take this dragon, and they just steal it. The Paranoia comes in. It's level 4 to level 6 in the jungle. And Shun is going to chase the Rakan out of there. The hail of arrows! This kind of lead in game number 2 either. So Headbutt gets Kanavi out of there. He's back over once again as the Chains of Corruption are going to come down. Viper not going to be able to hit him as Kanavi did manage to hit level 6.
Zeka's moving down, so they're threatening the dive here.
Yep. Delight only level 5 here, but should be able to get the knockup. Does find it there onto the cow. They should be able to get this kill for the first one of the game, and Gumayushi is the one to claim it. Kanavi's definitely dead, but he's used to that so far this game.
To make sure it's going to delay Kanavi even more. Viper?
Yeah, there is the quickness towards that bottom side of the map as Delight gets himself out of there. Gumayushi gonna need to finish this one off, and he does do so. A 1-for-1 under the turret.
And that is just going to make things even more difficult, but Guma and Delight feel like the hope right now.
Oh no, only level 5 here for On as he has to flash to get out of the way, but the grand entrance, and that is going to be a dead cow mincemeat on as HLE is avoided quite well. It's only Zeus that gets put up towards the sky, but in that, it is going to be the Drake secured by Shun. Immediately though, Viper just dies. The quickness to grab Shun at the same time as he has to flash to get out of the way.
They haven't left the area, and BLG still forcing for the top tower.
Yeah, there's the Paranoia coming down as the Crescent Guard comes in, uses Shun as a taxi to get up towards that top side, but the grand entrance doesn't do it, and down goes Kanavi. Gumayushi now to show up as Bin just immediately jumps on top of him. Zeus into that backline. Can he actually get a target though? Stridebreaker helps him out, and he takes down the jungler. Delight trying to get in there, but the quickness is denied entirely. And Guma still alive, but it's not quite working. Featherstorm comes down. Down goes the Olaf as well as On is going to get swept up by the...
For now, the vision is still in BLG's control, though, so that's dangerous.
Oh, dear. Zeka is just going to ghost away from BLG, but it's not going to be enough. Just bonked on the head with a...
When you have all of these max rank abilities, such short cooldowns.
Well, On looking for an angle here as the Paranoia comes down once again. Let's see whether they can keep Guma safe. The Blade Caller and Shun gonna have to flash to get out, but Kanavi is just dead in the blink of an eye. Zeus looking for an angle towards Bin, but On just throws him up into the air. Towards these popcorn chickens as there is the Paranoia. The Realm Warp to get them underneath the turret as Guma takes it down first. The feathers have been laid as into the backline goes Zeus, and immediately he is taken down. And now it's BLG's turn to go on the offensive. Kanavi using the Crescent Guard to try and create some space, but it is once again a pick hit. Teleporting in, will join the rest of his teammates, 5 strong on BLG's side. The Paranoia comes on through with Gumayushi, not going to be able to help take this one down as Shun secures another soul. And Kanavi, he's trying to fight this one out, but he is just going to go down. Bin in that backline, able to escape very comfortably. And once again, BLG taking the lunch money. The Featherstorm has to be used by Gumayushi as they are going to try and take down this cow, but the bear comes from the sky, takes out the Rakan, and gets himself out of the way. Gumayushi in a lot of trouble. He's just trying to get through these minions as in goes Kanavi, but out he goes immediately with the headbutt, and they dive on top of Zeus and wipe him off the rift.
Yes, you're hoping for a miracle.
We'll see whether they can make that one work, as now Delight trying to get himself out of the way of On. Bin with that Counter-Strike running will be able to leap strike over the wall. As there's an exhaust, they really want to commit on this one as the Chains of Corruption going to be instantly cleansed. They might be able to get the Jax, but never mind, they will not. Down goes the Zaya Rakan. Into the backline they go. Bin goes golden though, and now he's looking to escape from Zeus. Zeus. He does manage to get one of the kills onto Viper. Delight tries to get in, and it does not work out. Bin survives, and BLG will knock down these towers and move to match point in the MSI Finals.
Bin is dancing on him in and out with these leaf strikes, man. What a game plan from BLG, well crafted. They have the Nocturne early. Bin gets his Jax carry top.
About these boys backstage, but they're making it happen again. They're making it happen the same way they did last time. Empowering jungle, empowering top lane. I'm just wondering, what can HLE
Yes,
find?
I mean, if you go Zoe, you do set yourself up with a really nice poke comp. You can set up for some pretty powerful combos. If you hit a sleep, you can solar snare out of that. You can combo that burst, but looks like it's LeBlanc.
And I think it's picking for, we're trying to think, what can we pick for the Kindred right now and have a really good mid and jungle synergy here. Interesting, they end up going for the Talia.
But we'll see whether he even has an opportunity to get there. As BLG, like you say, definitely have them on the ropes for now. As Zeka maybe in a little bit of trouble as there is on getting the flash.
Kanavi trying to turn this into a gank though.
Yeah, Viper could be in a bit of trouble, has to flash immediately, but is that actually going to get him to safety as the frost shot comes in? It's decent work as the beat drops, and first blood to Guma immediately answered there as Kanavi goes down.
It's interesting because you look at the support roam timer too. Skarner here for On is on the way up.
Yeah, I have a feeling there is a troll in that brush. As he dashes forward, Kanavi pops his head out. Let's see whether Zeus can keep himself alive. And the answer is absolutely he can. The Never Move comes in. Vision of Empire for the kill. And Delight roaming down. He's going to spot On here as Zeus in position. There is the Ixtal, and Delight in a lot of trouble. Vision of Empire is not going to help him, and Shun is going to grab another mark here. Kanavi moving up, trying to defend Zeus. He might be in trouble as well as the Never Move is going to catch on to Shun, and Kanavi finds him. There is also the Demonic Ascension to keep Zeus alive. It's going to be another one of HLE, and Zeus at 2-0-1.
Movement was accelerated by that first blood, and now they're looking for Zeus.
Yeah, Weaver's Wall comes in, no flash available. The Demonic Ascension does bring him up, and let's see, the Never Move connects on tonight. And that wall did not last long enough. On finally makes his way in. Zeus is still alive for a very long time, but will finally be top. Yeah, Destiny Gate brings Zeka into the party as well, as Bin will at least try and pathmaker one of the positions. He goes all out, but goes...
No, it's not easy at all. That's exactly what I was going to touch on is...
Oh, Kanavi puts On in the kennel here as a Solar Snare not quite going to connect onto Gumayushi. Zeka's moving down. Delight's here as well. Everyone moves in as Kanavi... He might be falling, but instead it's going to be On going down. No turret to be hitting this Trundle as he turns his attention towards Viper. Delight just barely tanks this one up, but Gumayushi is taken down. Knight standing his ground. Zeka able to sidestep a few of these abilities, but Knight is still very scary. Shun still looking for angles here as we're going to see where the Double Dragon can be collected here as the Flash Gold card is going to connect. The arrow lands on top as well. Lamb's Respite is going to be there as the Impale doesn't do that much. The Lamb's Respite is late as Shun, I don't know whether it's going to save him here, and he's just eaten by the Trundle. Revenge for Kanavi. They still won though because it creates space for the rest of the team. Zeka now going to get caught up by this Skarner, thrown back by Knight as well as the arrow gets flashed just gorgeously. Zeka's got a gold guard though. There's nothing On can do about this as a hail of blades Skarner, and he will be taken out.
This Trundle's getting so accelerated, and it's going to be even tankier.
Speak of the devil, the Impale is going to come through. Shun will arrive, but is it actually going to be enough as Kanavi just flashes on top of him, takes the King's Tribute. He will die, and the shutdown goes over to Shun. Thinking that this might be an opportunity to go for some sort of fight. Rocks flying through, but the poke isn't necessarily landing as now the Rift Herald is going to pop out, a teleport in from the Swain as the Weaver's Wall comes on through. Zeus just gets over the top of the Wizard of Empire, the Never Move! My God, the damage! And everyone is going to explode. Shun is in that Lamb's Respite as On gets into the backline. They take down Gumayushi, but it's this Swain that's the problem, and you are never moving if Zeus has you in his sights. Now BLG trying to escape, and Zeka will just hold on in position. Kanavi gonna hit him with a bat, and down goes the Skarner again.
The CC, and it's huge for the healing that comes through as well. They just Can't take him out.
Oh, Arrow connects on tonight. The Vision of Empire is going to do a fair bit of damage, but Kanavi turning up, that's going to be the biggest problem. Zeus with some lightning hands takes out the Skarner. Now the rest of HLE are moving forward. Gumayusi going to use the flick back in order to close distance. That's kind of funny as Delight is going to get taken down. Ulti from Viper still doing a whole lot of work. As Knight at about 200 health, it's a double kill for Viper. The flick back comes in and they've overextended. Zeus still trying to chase them down because there's Zeka moving in. But HLE, I think they just need to, cut their losses at this point as Zeka is going to try and get on top of Knight. He finds it as there's a demonic ascension, but he ascends a little too far. And now Zeka needs to find this angle. Viper with the rebuttal, but it's a double. The wildcards takes out. Let's see whether HLE can actually get here in time. Zeus just moving into the pit. Kanavi going to join him. The Weaver's Wall just to block them off as Zeka walking around the side. On in a lot of trouble as he's pulled back by the Never Move. It's Delight that grabs that one. The arrow straight into bin as Gumayusi raining down the arrows, and the AoE is just revolting. HLE have routed them and they'll take the free Baron. And level 9 now at least as Kanavi throws down the kennel. The arrow is going to sail by. The flick back doesn't quite work. Now Zeus just going gold and buying all of that space, but Bin throws him into the wall. The Swain is taken down and Viper is able to grab that kill. Even On is able to survive. Kanavi getting to work on this Baron alongside Gumayusi. This will not last very long, but BLG in position. Shun still making his way in as Zeka could be in a little bit of trouble, getting danced on by Shun right now. As the Solar Snare only landing onto one. Zeus happy to tank that one up as now BLG trying to walk the tightrope of this team fight. And Zeus just walking forward into them. Still it's going to be the pushback. Viper takes down Guma to start this fight off as Zeus goes golden. They've gotten rid of Shun, who didn't have that Lance Respite from before. And Delight looks for the angle towards Knight. He's trying to dance away from them, but it's not going to work. Ben falls. Kanavi is going to aid him, and Zeus finds the angle on tonight. On just fighting against Zeka, but he will be going down. And HLE, they're just looking to finish off the game.
Fight and take us to that Game 5.
What an incredible performance. The bounce back from HLE. It is not going to be that 3-1 once again as they will take down the Nexus and make us go the distance here in Daejeon.
In a row to keep them alive.
3 titles on the line. You've got back and forth between Knight and Zeus and Gumayusi, and oh my word, this series keeps delivering.
Imagine if Zeus did this. Game 5. Picking the Gwen into Bin for the Aatrox-Gwen matchup there towards the top side of the map. This is what I was going to ask about, though. How is the Mundo matchup into the Aatrox? Because Grand Final, BLG's Golden Road on the table here. HLE trying to bulldoze it.
Yeah, they're sending everyone bot here. Kanavi's showing. The rest of them are wrapping around. He has been pretty incredible. We've seen the matchup so many times. They're looking bot.
Yeah, Shun not going to quite find the flash as there is the flash escape from Gumayusi. Shun too far as the ulti does come down, but first blood goes over to Knight and Gumayusi's going to be taken as well. It doesn't matter. We'll be able to walk it off. No flash employed just yet as the dash in from Gumayusi. They just want to kill On, and they are going to do so. Viper immediately cancels the ulti as Kanavi falls down on top of him. He doesn't have support though because On is being really annoying. Standing under the turret with his ultimate running as Kanavi's just walking in. Finds a stun onto On. He's taking so much damage. Kanavi down to 50% though as he does have that wild growth. Bullet time comes down. Pop Blossom onto 2. But the bullet time doesn't quite do enough. Gumayusi takes down On. Kanavi flashes out. The cease and desist will be acquiesced here by HLE as it's a double kill for Gumayusi. And HLE will say thanks so much for the Rift Herald.
They want to fight.
Yep, that is going to be what's on their minds as the Pop Blossom is going to connect onto Kanavi. Cease and desist into the backline as they look to take down Gumayusi. Knight is going to finish it, but now Viper is in trouble. Zeka dives forward, finds the chains to take out his former teammate, and there goes Kanavi as well. Zeka trying to escape, but he had to tank up the turret to get out of here. The Abduct is going to come through, the Abscond, and the Kingslayer is going to be there, but it's Knight that takes him down.
Try and mark the engagers. They're going for the dragon again.
Well, the Mundo is walking from the top side of the map. A face check here from Zeka as he gets himself out of the way. The Between Worlds comes down. Great Polymorph comes in. Cease and desist, and Shun, he is going to have to do that as now Zeus makes his way in. 3 people, I do not think he minds. As Kanavi not going to be diving on top, but look at Zeus. It's just got regenning health over and over again. Zeka there as well. with that Kingslayer. Zeus just walking up. Does take a fair bit of damage here, though, as we can see. Gets the wild growth as there are the knockups to Pop Blossom. Doesn't quite work out, but Zeka's one's decent as he dives on in. The chain lash comes down as Zeus takes out Ben. These health bars are solo. Viper is taken out, but Zeka will fall as well. Most importantly, Gumayusi stays alive, and they'll take down the outer turret.
And Zeus takes it all! He's still on the push. He's back to full HP.
How do you stop this man? He is just walking towards them. Maybe there's a meeting behind their fountain that he's late for. I don't know, but he has places to be, and it requires going through BLG. Yep, that's not going to kill him. He just keeps walking.
And I feel like BLG losing that third dragon fight was so critical. That was their moment, and Ben now spotted on a flank.
Yeah, the World Ender is going to come on through. He gets polymorphed as now Zeka finds a cease and desist towards Shun. Zeus just wanders into Knight, though, has been getting chased out. Gumayusi following in this. The stun Kanavi locks it up. On finds the air with his Pop Blossom. Zeka is going to actually find the Kingslayer to take out Shun. They'll lose their Lulu, but on is not long for the world, and Knight is running the wrong direction.
He threw it up just a pixel or two away from it.
Oh my goodness, the chain's gonna find Knight. He's knocked up with the Pop Blossom from on. It is going to connect with Delight, who is taken out immediately. They want Gumayusi, and they'll find him with the Pop Blossom from Zeka. Is massive. Still they get their target, and Ben is gigantic in this front line. That's the GA popped. Ben is still a problem, but so is Zeus, as both of these top laners feel unkillable. Zeka's still alive as he's now looking for Shun. He'll get in on top of him. Kanavi taken out by the Aatrox. Zeus seems impossible to move. Zeka might be an option here, but the chains go wide, and Ben shuts him down. BLG still have a...
Vision is just so critical for the
Here we go.
Oh, that's Kanavi actually going up into the sky. He's away from the fight. The bullet time finds Guma, and the Pop Blossom isn't going to do too much here from Zeka. They try and dive into that backline. They'll take down Viper, but what else can they get? Zeus is able to get in there and find his angle. Delight should be taken out, as the polymorph should not be quite enough, and it's a double kill for Shun, but now Zeus is just immovable. The stun onto Ben, as it's jungler and top laner versus each other. Ben and Shun, they take out Kanavi, and Zeus, he may just be mortal in the end, and Shun will be able to put him down. Ben at full health. Kanavi has a Mega Cone in order to get himself in here as well, as Gumayusi is hunting. I don't know about his frontline position here as well, as Knight does get himself out of the way. The briefcase doesn't land onto Viper, as the Pop Blossom does come down. Cease and desist is stolen. They get on top of the misfortune, but at what cost? Gumayusi trying to dash away from Ben. He is put down to his GA. Shun pops back up again, but Guma flashes out. Now Ben looks to get on top of him, but he dashes out of the way. And this is what a team fight looks like when Gumayusi stays.
Take the game and the series back!
And it looks like the orange tank is going to bulldoze the Golden Road, as an immovable Mondo will take down these Nexus turrets. Pop Blossom in celebration from Zeka, as Humble Life Esports, they've already done first end, and they'll do MSI as well.
Get themselves inside a Baron, and HLE say, not on my watch. Zeus is happy to run them out. Kanavi is happy to steal that Baron, and HLE, they will take away that trophy.
And HLE, it looked almost hopeless the first time these two teams met.